HTML forms. What is HTML form? An HTML form is used to collect user input. HTML forms are required to collect different kinds of user inputs, such as contact details like name, email address or phone numbers, etc. The form element. The HTML form element is used to create an HTML form for user input. The form element is a container for different types of input elements, such as text fields, checkboxes, radio buttons, submit buttons, etc. Users generally complete a form by modifying its controls, e.g. entering text, selecting items, etc., and submitting this form to a web server for further processing. The input element. The HTML input element is the most used form element. An input element can be displayed in many ways, depending on the type attribute. An input element can be of type text field, password field, checkbox, radio button, submit button, reset button, file select box, as well as several new input types introduced in HTML5. Here are some examples. Input type text. Displays a single-line text input field. Input type radio. Displays a radio button, for selecting one of many choices. Input type checkbox. Displays a checkbox, for selecting 0 or more of many choices. Input type submit. Displays a submit button, for submitting the form. Input type button. Displays a clickable button. Text fields. Text fields are one-line areas that allow the user to input text. Single-line text input controls are created using an input element, whose type attribute has a value of text. Password field. Password fields are similar to text fields. The only difference is, characters in a password field are masked, i.e. they are shown as asterisks or dots. This is to prevent someone else from reading the password on the screen. This is also a single-line text input controls created using an input element whose type attribute has a value of password. Note, the form itself is not visible. Also note that the default width of an input field is 20 characters. The label element. Notice the use of the label element in the example. The label tag defines a label for many form elements. The label element is useful for screen reader users, because the screen reader will read out loud the label when the user focus on the input element. The label element also help users who have difficulty clicking on very small regions, such as radio buttons or checkboxes, because when the user clicks the text within the label element, it toggles the radio button/checkbox. The for attribute of the label tag should be equal to the ID attribute of the input element to bind them together. Radio buttons. Radio buttons are used to let the user select exactly one option from a predefined set of options. The input type equals radio defines a radio button. Checkboxes. Checkboxes allows the user to select one or more option from a predefined set of options. The input type equals checkbox defines a checkbox. File Select box. The file fields allow a user to browse for a local file and send it as an attachment with the form data. Web browsers such as Google Chrome and Firefox render a file select input field with a browse button that enables the user to navigate the local hard drive and select a file. This is also created using an input element, whose type attribute value is set to file. Text area. Text area is a multiple-line text input control that allows a user to enter more than one line of text. Multi-line text input controls are created using an text area element. Select boxes. A select box is a drop-down list of options that allows user to select one or more option from a pull-down list of options. Select box is created using the select element and option element. The option elements within the select element define each list item. Submit and reset buttons. A submit button is used to send the form data to a web server. When submit button is clicked, the form data is sent to the file specified in the form's action attribute to process the submitted data. The input type equals submit defines a button for submitting the form data to a form handler. A reset button resets all the form's control to default values.